Thank you, Dr. Kim. All right, so I want to start off by getting you guys to think of the first time you ever saw a magic trick. So this could have been your neighbor showing you a simple card trick that they just learned, or it could have been a skilled performer at a prestigious magic show. Now, I want you to take a moment and remember just how it felt to see your card being picked out of a shuffled deck, or seeing a bunny materialize out of thin air. You're mesmerized by magic. But what's so magical about magic? Does someone really possess the powers to make an elephant disappear? Or a ventriloquist make a doll come to life? Maybe they could. But a more likely explanation is that they're tricking your senses. They're making you see something different from what's actually there. And a magician can actually do this by manipulating the different cognitive processes that govern perception. They do this by using subtle body language cues or clever wording to guide you down a path that they've carved for you. Take, for example, a ventriloquist act. The first time you ever saw a ventriloquist act, you may have been baffled at the scene. You may have even asked yourself, how could he make his voice seem to come from the doll? Well, spoiler alert, he doesn't. He uses what's called top-down processing to govern your perception. So top-down processing relies on prior expectations and beliefs to influence your perception. Let's break the ventriloquist act down. Throughout our day-to-day lives, whenever we're talking to people, we see their mouths move at the same time that we hear their voice. This becomes such a reliable occurrence that over time your brain begins to expect mouth movements when it hears a voice. And going back to the ventriloquist act, in this scenario, the ventriloquist is actually voicing the statement. He's doing this, but he's doing so without moving his mouth. Instead, he's moving the doll's mouth. Your brain at this point is receiving two different stimuli, something that it's used to, the auditory coming from the ventriloquist and the visual coming from the doll. But this time, it's getting it from two different sources, when it's used to getting it from only one. Because of your prior experiences, your brain concludes that it's coming from the doll. The ventriloquist didn't change the trajectory of his voice at all. He just used top-down processing to make you think that he did. And that's not the only way that top-down processing can affect your perception. Sometimes you don't even need a magician's touch. Sometimes, all you need is a simple shading technique and some understanding of universal factors. Take, for example, this photo. So what would you do if I told you that, there's a photo missing in the slide. And the idea of this photo is that once these blocks are removed, the black blocks, your brain actually concludes that these two shades are different. This might be hard to imagine right now because you actually do see them as the same, but in this photo, once the blocks are removed, your brain would be relying on two different pieces of information. It would be relying on a checkerboard, which, as you know from your prior expectations, alternates in either colors or shades, and it would be relying on a shadow being casted by this green object. So, with these two pieces of information, your brain would have concluded that block A and block B are actually two different shades. Now that this information is removed and your brain isn't receiving the stimuli, you're actually seeing them as the same shade. And in this case, the context of the checkerboard and the shadow are actually guiding you down a path, similar to what a magician would do when they use their subtle body language cues and their clever wording to guide your perception of magic. And so, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's just seeing a card trick or telling whether two shades are the same, or seeing a bunny materialize out of thin air, the real magic is in your mind. Thank you.